morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Your Thursday's off to a great start. We're going to get you out to some live events, hopefully, this morning. I believe House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be holding her news conference, which is of particular interest after the meeting at the White House yesterday that went off the rails, as Doug Luzader will describe it, our Washington, D.C. correspondent from Fox, who will have a report for you momentarily. First, I'm going to get you a look at weather conditions. We are expecting the possibility of some strong storms later today. Here's a graphic from our Fox 29 Weather Authority team. Some areas saw storms come through this morning with some heavy rain, particularly areas to north of the city. See if we can get you a look at the weather there. Here's a look at the severe weather threat that I was mentioning today. Main timing is from 4 to 9 p.m. Concerns are damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes. And you see, I believe that is the South Philly is within that severe weather threat area. Most of our suburbs to the west of the city as well. So let's start with weather. Let's get you out to get you a full look at the forecast right now. You're looking live at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway right now. It's 66 degrees. Dew point is 48. Winds out of the southeast at 6 miles per hour. Here's a look at ultimate Doppler radar, where you can see those storms as they passed to the north of the city. Now it looks like I did get a quick downpour on my walk in around 9:30. In the city, it looks like we could be in line for some more rain in the near future. See some storms forming over Lancaster County and moving into Chester County and then Delaware County, that is. Here's your current temperatures. Looks like we've ticked up to 68 now in the city. I saw our meteorologist, Scott Williams, tweeting this morning that a lot of the severity of the storms later today will depend on how much sunshine we get. So the longer we have some cloud cover and it keeps us from warming up and destabilizing the atmosphere, the less severe the storms will be. But if we get that sunshine and hazy weather, then we could very well wind up with those strong storms later today. 60s across most of the area, 55 in Mount Pocono. They're up to 70 in Baltimore and 77 in Charlottesville and Clarksville, West Virginia. 76 in Pittsburgh. 71 in Cleveland. So there's some of that warmer air to our south and west. Nationally, they're in the 80s along the Gulf Coast, as well as up in Memphis. 50s on the West Coast right now. Midwest, kind of a range, 72 in St. Louis, but 54 up in Minneapolis. Cool up in New England, 66 in Boston. Not a little bit cooler than us anyway. Temperatures around where they were the same time yesterday. Pretty close to similar morning temperature-wise. A little bit windy right now, where especially where the rain line is occurring. The rain is falling. Here comes your visibility. And a look at satellite. There you see those storms that were to the north of us, now moving off to the north and east. Although there are some new showers popping up in the western suburbs. Here's a look at your national futurecast. here comes a local new future cast. Looks like Saturday will be dry, and then Sunday we get into some rain again, scattered showers, and it might linger into Monday. Here's your 7-day forecast from the Fox 49 Weather Authority. PM storms, 80 degrees today. Friday, a nice kickoff, 79. Calling that a 9 on our forecast by the numbers. Saturday, 80 degrees, warm, and a pop-up possible. Sunday, we're heating up to 89. For Memorial Day on Monday, warm with a pop-up, 85. Tuesday, sun and clouds, 86. And Wednesday, same thing, sun and clouds, 86. So we're starting to get to that point where we're almost consistently in the 80s. Friday we might slip to 79, but still going to be a beautiful day. 9 and 8 to start, 9 on Friday, 8 to start the holiday weekend. So we'll look forward to that. Don't forget to download the Fox 49 Weather Authority app. Get the latest and keep an eye on the hourly conditions. You can look at the current radar, the future cast, get conditions up to the minute. And you're looking live outside our studios at 4th and Market Streets. I saw, it looks like it just faded. It looks like the sun's peeking out every now and then. There was a shadow on the trees on the sidewalk, and it just almost disappeared. So looks like the sun may be playing some peekaboo there. All right, let's get you out to some news stories. Here comes the first. As I mentioned, the nation's capital is trying to dig out of some political wreckage this morning. What was supposed to be a bipartisan meeting at the White House almost immediately went off the rails. Doug Luzader has a story this morning from Washington.
Well, what was supposed to be a bipartisan meeting at the White House almost immediately went off the rails.
Doug, explain those rails and how they went awry.
I'm just trying to explain the sound you just made, but it was not pretty yesterday. Even by Washington standards, what happened at the White House was really a shocker.
So what really did take place behind closed doors at the White House? Well, it was enough to rock even veteran Washington players back on their heels.
To watch what happened in the White House would make your jaw drop.
But it really started just about 2 hours earlier down the road at the Capitol, where House Democrats met to discuss impeaching the president. And while House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has long been seen as skeptical of that move, she emerged saying this.
And we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. A cover-up,
and that was it. There was a scheduled meeting at the White House to talk about spending $2 trillion to fix the nation's infrastructure. The president, Pelosi, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer were all there. But the president told them no deal while the investigations continue, and he simply walked out.
And instead of walking in happily into a meeting, I walk in to look at people that had just said that I was doing a cover-up. I don't do cover-ups.
And all of this raises the question now as to whether anything will get done around here in the months ahead.
People look at this, they see dysfunction, and that is not at all what they want to look at. What is the top of all of these voters in both primaries? It's health care in the Democrats, it's immigration for Republican voters going into this election. That is what overshadows absolutely everything else, and a lot of this is just a sad side game.
Well, you have both sides really kind of playing to their bases here. The president is counting and depending on the accuracy of recent polls showing that most people at this point do not support impeachment. That number can always change, of course. Mike and Alex.
Yeah, sounds like Nancy Pelosi doesn't even support. Thank you, Doug. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thanks. We'll get an update on where the House Speaker stands when she has her weekly news conference. I believe that will be coming up at 10:45, and we'll try to get you out to that live. In the meantime, we'll get you some other news for the time being. You may soon have a robot at your door. With self-driving vehicles gaining more traction, Ford is teaming up with a robotics company to bring your packages to your door. Fox Business's Tracy Carrasco has more in this report.
Tracy, do you want to hear a story or not?
Yes, of course.
Okay, sure. Yeah, probably no choice, but thank you for being kind on Kindness Day.
I want to hear about Zara.
Okay, so I was feeling constipated.
Oh my gosh.
And I have not bought a suppository in maybe 30 years of my life. So I'm with my trainer. She goes, why don't you get one of those things, those suppositories that you know? So I'm at Target.
You and the sound effects this morning.
I pick up this little green and white jar filled with these suppositories. And wouldn't you know, like 10 seconds later, the little girl runs over to me, and I've got this in my hand. She wants to shake my hand. Now I'm trying to hide from her parents and the rest of her family this. Then I go over to the self-checkout, and the machine won't work, so the clerk has to come over and say, what are you trying to scan?
Oh, no.
Oh God! Jeez.
That's so great. Isn't it funny how life works?
Yeah. Well, we don't have time for your story now. No, Tracy.
No, this is big because soon we're going to have walking robots making deliveries.
Ford is already making them.
Yes, and this could have helped you out yesterday with your story and avoiding any sort of embarrassment.
Yes.
But yes, Ford teaming up with Agility Robotics to come up with a robot that will once complete the final step of the self-driving delivery process. So I guess we're too lazy to go out to the curb and actually pick up whatever we've ordered from the self-driving vehicles, but they've come up with a robot to bring them to your front door. The robot's name is Digit. Digit can pick up packages up to 40 pounds, can walk up and down stairs, navigate terrain that might be uneven. So a Digit will get out of that self-driving vehicle, bring your package to you, and that's it. So they're creating this right now, and I think this is kind of the wave of the future because we've seen other companies. Amazon, they've got their delivering self-driving delivery robot Scout. FedEx also working on something very similar. So you wouldn't have had to deal with anyone yesterday if this Digit was around.
The only good thing about it, you don't have to have any interaction with another human, which
is
fantastic.
They look creepy to me. But hold on, I'm still distracted because we didn't get to the bottom of this.
Bottom of this?
Are you good now? How'd it turn out?
Bottom of this suppository, that's great. No, it worked immediately. I haven't done it in years. I mean, like I said, 30 years. But that was glycerin or whatever's in it. An immediate relief.
I hope you were already, in a place where you could.
Well, I went back to my apartment. I didn't do it there in Target.
I'm just saying you said immediate. So I thought, oh my gosh, what if you'd have time to get back?
No, it was probably 2 or 3 minutes later.
Okay.
After I was in the privacy of my own home, Tracy.
Thank goodness. Oh my goodness.
Well, that went awry.
Yeah.
Tracy, we'll see you tomorrow if you're willing to come back.
Bye-bye.
I'm sure every day she questions, like, do I really want to talk to these people?
Entertaining conversation there with Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco. We're showing you a live look at Ultimate Doppler, where as we mentioned, we do have some storms in the area today. Keep an eye on the sky and keep checking your device. Keep an eye. Make sure you maybe sign up for notifications so you get severe weather alerts. We'll keep you up to date as best we can today here at Fox 29. In the meantime, severe storms in the central U.S. have killed at least 4 people and are causing others to evacuate their homes. Officials are telling homeowners in low-lying areas of Oklahoma and Missouri to get out while they can before the weather gets any worse. The high winters have caused dozens of rescues and almost 60 tornadoes have completely devastated homes and businesses. The extent of the storm damage is still being evaluated.
We have identified several people that are injured as a result of this. We are receiving multiple calls for people being trapped in their homes. The interpretation of that is we don't know what they are saying trapped, If they can't get out of their front door means one thing, but we do have debris on some homes to where they are not able to access the outside at all.
The destruction came only hours after city officials ordered a mandatory evacuation for Jefferson City as rising levels from the Missouri River continue to push against the protective barriers, I believe that's supposed to say. We do have a Fox crew on the ground right now. Let's take a dip into their camera here showing some of the storm damage. See if I can get you a location on exactly where this is. I believe this is in Jefferson City, Missouri. Crews on the ground reporting right now for Fox, showing some of the damage that's occurred there in Jefferson City. Let's listen in for a moment.
Said this morning, catastrophic damage. That's most definitely what we've seen this morning along Ellis, off of 54 Highway, the path of the storm early this morning, and 20 people injured. And luckily, as the governor said, nobody has been reported as dying in this storm. So we're here in Jeff City. We'll have more for you coming up in 30 minutes. Back to you in the studio.
So that was Jefferson City, Missouri. Live report there from the reporter at the scene. Right now you're looking at, this is another shot. I believe this is courtesy of KWTV and KOTV. This is flooding aerials near Muskogee, Oklahoma. Looks like the river has gone over its banks in some places, or at least on the sides. The berm on the near side seems to be holding it back. On the far side looks like there is some flooding occurring, although that looks like that could be a building or some other type of structure there in the river path. Maybe something that's been swept away. Here's a look at the severe weather threat. As we mentioned, there's a continuing threat in the central plains, central portion of the U.S. And then there's also one for our area today from 4 to 9 p.m. Portions of the viewing area are under the enhanced threat area. Others are in the slight threat area. Taking a look at our weathermetrics camera here of the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, you can see to the north and west there, it does look like those storms that are on radar will be headed this way. Some darkened skies over there. So I get our thoughts with the folks in Missouri and Oklahoma who are dealing with the flooding. Here's the look at the what looks like emergency responders on the water there in Oklahoma. Again, this is a live shot from KWTV, KOTV, flooding aerials in Muskogee, Oklahoma. We'll watch for a couple minutes here. Looks like it says State Trooper on the side. quite a wide swath of water there. Looks like a lot of flooding, river over its banks there in Muskogee, Oklahoma. It appears our meteorologists are getting a zoom-in look here at the storms that are popping up and moving into the city. I have not seen any severe warnings on these storms. Let me double check though as I say that. Yep, no severe warnings at this time. There is a hazardous weather outlook for what appears to be a large swath of the area. Southern Delaware, central New Jersey, and southern New Jersey. Yeah, it looks like they're for much of the area. Probability of some thunderstorms this afternoon and evening could be severe. The primary hazard with any severe storms is expected to be damaging winds, but severe hail is also possible. There's a moderate risk for the development of dangerous rip currents at the beaches. So if you're down early to get a really early jump on the Memorial Day weekend, be aware of that. We'll continue to follow the weather situation as the day unfolds. Here again is that live look at the flooding in Muskogee, Oklahoma. All right, I may be able to get you a full report from Steve Keeley on this story, but in the meantime, let's try and get you what we have here. Pivoting to some local news. Oh, I'm not seeing that story online, so we'll wait for that one. But we'll get you to a few others. Coming back to Philadelphia for some local news. Philadelphia police are on the hunt for 3 masked men who walked into a corner store and shot an employee who you just saw pictured there. Police say at least one of them is armed. The 30-year-old store clerk remains in hospital this morning in critical condition after being shot at the Juniata Park store yesterday. Robert Ochita was opening the Brita mini market on East Lycoming and O Streets when police say 3 masked men jumped him, shooting him in the chest. One of the market's owners believes the same trio hit the store just 10 days earlier. The Philadelphia District Attorney's Office says rapper Meek Mill should be granted a new trial with a new judge. In a court appeal, District Attorney Larry Krasner called out Judge Janice Brinkley, saying she was biased against Meek Mill when she sentenced him to 2 to 4 years in prison back in November 2017. Judge Brinkley has repeatedly denied Meek Mill post-conviction relief and has refused to recuse herself from this case. She also denies any bias. We had a guest on this morning on Good Day Philadelphia to talk more about this case. Let's listen in on the conversation from this morning.
The Philadelphia District Attorney says Meek Mill should be granted a new trial with a new judge. That's been the rub all along.
So this information came out yesterday, and this picture we're showing you is from an interview that Judge Brinkley did for CCP-TV. In a court appeal, Larry Krasner calls out Judge Janice Brinkley, saying she was biased against Meek Mill when she sentenced him to 2 to 4 years in prison back in November of 2017. Judge Brinkley has repeatedly denied Meek Mill post-conviction relief and has refused to recuse herself from this case, and she also denies any bias.
You know, I said earlier this seemed like a big win for Meek Mill, but is that accurate? Shaka Johnson, attorney at Noaa, is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Did I overstate that? Is that a win or not?
No, I don't think you overstated it. And I think, assuming you meant it in this vein, it's sort of unprecedented that you would have a defendant who has been alleging one thing all along. There's an air of impropriety, there's an appearance of impartiality, and then to have the district attorney, who's the prosecuting body, champion that same cause and file to the Superior Court saying the exact same thing. So from that
prosecutor siding with the defendant.
Correct, for the purpose of getting him a new trial. You know, so I don't think you were wrong in that particular aspect, and that this is a win.
Could you remind us, if people haven't been paying close to it, what is this bias charge based on?
So they're alleging bias by the judge for a lot of reasons, but one reason is because they're saying that she overstepped her judicial authority by acting in the capacity of a probation officer, by leaving the courthouse, leaving chambers, and going out to where he was scheduled to be serving some community service at a homeless shelter. And that just sort of runs afoul of what you really see any judge do.
Maybe got to know him on a personal level?
No, more like I Spy, you know, more like that. Not get out to know you and you and I have a kumbaya moment. Let me find out who you are as a person.
Okay.
Let me watch you from afar and see if you're really here and sort of make my own observations and speak on them when we get back to court. That's what they're alleging is the impropriety.
But on the other side of this, too, though, just because the DA's come out and done this doesn't mean he's going to get a new trial necessarily, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And that's why they filed to the Superior Court, obviously. The Superior Court will determine if... And they'll look at the whole history of this. They'll look at the entire procedural history to determine if all that's been done, all that's been said, is tantamount to the appearance of impropriety.
But a DA does not have the power to change a judge.
No, they do not.
And how does a judge get assigned to each particular case? Is that just a rotation?
Sure. In the criminal courthouse, especially here in Philadelphia, where Meek's case is, it's on a rotation. It's on a wheel.
Okay, I got you.
Well, we do want to bring up Judge Janice Brinkley's attorney, because judges, they can't directly comment on something like this. So
That's correct.
Her attorney, Charles Prudo Jr., released this statement in response to that filing yesterday, and this is what it reads in part. It says, today's news, well, yesterday's news, is no news. The DA already joined in the defense motion for recusal and new trial last year. This is nothing more than his asking a higher court for the same thing. Judge Brinkley's legal reasoning in the opinion she wrote in this case will be upheld, as no good evidence was presented by either side on any issue. And they're making the point saying they've looked at her before to see if she's acted unjustly, and they said no.
Well,
right?
Well, quite frankly, the DA, I think, filed a much more robust motion than was filed. And I think it has a different tenor when it's the prosecuting body and the actual district attorney of the county, the one making the filing.
It's the case that will not end.
Right. But then what happened? Was she reviewed by other judges before when there was a complaint that was made and they found that she didn't act out?
Well, no. Initially, when you file a motion for recusal, it goes to the actual judge themselves, which is sort of, in and of itself a little bit ridiculous.
She's not going anywhere.
Well, we'll see what the Superior Court has to say about this. Yeah. I think this is somewhat unprecedented that both sides are asking for the same thing.
And then Meek Mill responded to the news. He tweeted yesterday, quote, "This doesn't mean I win, but this is great news."
Kind of what you just said.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes. Okay. Shaka, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
All right, break.
Good conversation there about the ongoing case of rapper Meek Mill and the district attorney's surprise announcement that he supports a new trial for the artist. Let's get you a quick look at one national story, and then I believe there's a breaking news story coming in. So let's show you first the stock market at this moment, about 1.3% down 332 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average at 25,442. So we'll continue to monitor that. And one breaking news story to get you right now at this moment. This one just crossed wires. Federal prosecutors in New York have charged a banker with trying to buy a Trump administration post with loan approvals. Again, federal prosecutors in New York have charged a banker with trying to buy a Trump administration post with loan approvals. We'll get you more on this story as soon as it becomes available. Looking now to see if I can find more. Not seeing much at this moment, so we'll get you more information as it comes in. So let's get you back to some local news. New details this morning on the machete-wielding man who was shot by a U.S. Marshal yesterday morning near Wissinoming Park. This all unfolded shortly on the 5900 block of Charles Street in Wissinoming. Officers say they had a warrant for a 31-year-old Joseph Ankra and cornered him in his car. He took off running, then was tased. Police say he managed to keep on running and at some point turned the machete towards the marshals. That's when one of them fired, hitting him in the shoulder and back.
As early as March of this year, he went in to purchase an assault rifle, an AR-15, and also a .45 caliber pistol, and was denied because of those active warrants.
This guy came out of nowhere being chased. I don't know what they were chasing him for. He was bleeding. He had a big machete.
That was Chief Malloy and then an eyewitness to what happened. The suspect remains in the hospital in stable condition at this time. In 5 municipalities within Delaware and Chester counties, residents have voted to allow the sale of alcohol in towns which have been dry towns for 100 years. Since Prohibition, places like Lansdowne, Aldenboro, and Marple Township have been dry, meaning they don't sell alcohol. Same goes for West Marlboro and Franklin Townships. But now voters have decided to change that. Restaurants will now be able to serve alcohol with the proper license. Many residents and local business owners hope this will boost sales.
I believe that it's going to be improve a lot of business and bring more customer to the location. Because right now we don't have it. It's so hard for people to come out. They want some cocktail, they don't have it. They got to bring their own, so that's not convenient. So I think it's very good opportunity for us to expand the township, expand the neighbor, and we be happy with that.
Restaurants and liquor stores will have to apply for a license before they're able to sell alcohol. But this new law promises to be a big change for many local businesses. More than 2 weeks ago, a camera captured a shooting in southwest Philadelphia, and police are still after whoever pulled the trigger. Back on May 7th, a man was walking down the 6700 block of Upland Street when an SUV pulled up. Police say someone inside it fired off a number of shots, hitting the man in the chest. He's still recovering and has not been able to give police a description of anyone in the SUV. If you know anything about this situation, police are looking for your help. In Lehigh County, the ATF is investigating an explosion that occurred in Bethlehem. The explosion is centered around the area of Fleur and Blossom Lanes. There are reports that something dropped from a pickup truck into the street and exploded. One neighbor says he was cutting his grass when he heard a big bang.
And then they said something blew up in the street, and I seen a Coke can with some duct tape on it. It's a pipe bomb. One of the neighbor people out there, they seen the guy throw it out of the pickup truck.
No one was injured and no homes were damaged. As of now, officials say they can't confirm what type of device set off the explosion. It was a very special night at CHOP when get to forget about their diagnoses and just enjoy themselves. The 13th annual CHOP prom was held last night. One night each spring, the hospital transforms their cafeteria into a room full of fun. The kids got the red carpet treatment as they arrived to the event dressed to impress. They partied and danced the night away alongside their parents and hospital staff. There were smiles all around, even for moms and dads.
The floor, so I'm actually really happy.
Today reminds us that she's still here despite fighting a really strong fight.
It's amazing where she finds everything, her strength. She's our hero.
Many of the girls' dresses are donated for the occasion, and hospital volunteers do their hair and makeup. What a nice event. Jumping up and down a little bit on this clip. Sorry about that. Moju's Family Pizzeria joined Good Day Philadelphia this morning with their most unique pizza creations and, of course, their massive pizza pies. Here was that segment from Good Day Philadelphia this morning.
Our pizza.
Everyone in the studio is ready for this because it smells amazing.
Our next guests, they definitely have taken pizza pie to a new level.
And they've changed the shape. And they've added a few things that might surprise you, and that's on purpose.
It's Mo and Judith. So, hi. We'll come over to you because we're kind and friendly people.
Yes, we are.
So you're Mo.
Yes, sir.
And you're Judith.
Yes.
So the name of your pizza place is?
Moju's.
Moju's. I get it. I love
This
it.
makes sense. Combine it all.
Don't even.
And Mo, how long have you been making pizza?
I've been doing this for about 20 years. We opened up a location in far northeast about 6 years ago, and we sold that shop in 2 years. Somebody came in and gave us a good offer, so we
Good
couldn't
for you.
refuse. So we moved to a way good neighborhood also for Port Richmond.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really welcoming in there.
Well, there are a lot of pizza places in that area.
Yes.
So you have to stand out. That's why you invented
Exactly.
different shapes. Let's start down on the end there. That looks like the sun.
This is called Sunrise Surprise, actually. It's each of these pockets they have a surprise in there. This one actually have a Philly cheesesteaks inside of it. You can also add topping in there.
But when the customers come and buy this, they don't know. They really don't know what's going to be
We usually give you like this option, 2 to 3 toppings, and then we just stuff whatever you pick in there. So you basically don't know what you're going to get, but you kind of have an idea. So it's a surprise between whatever you pick.
In each ray, there's a surprise. Like
Yes.
car keys or something? Or, no, it's food.
Some money, maybe?
You know, Philly cheesesteak, pepperoni, veggies, you know.
I got you.
This one.
You're not going to believe this one. Guess what these are here? They're meatballs in there, right?
Yes. yes. It's our Moju Meatball Mania. I call it for short.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Wow.
So, I mean, did you cut them up, or is it just one
There's
meatball?
one whole meatball in
No, whole
there.
meatball actually in there.
And there's garlic and,
Can
you know,
I
chopped.
rip it, Mike?
Sure, go ahead.
Let me pop one.
Let's see what it looks like.
It's a whole meatball.
And is that garlic
There's
and
a
cheese
meatball
on
in there.
top,
Look
or-
at that.
Yes, there's garlic, Parmesan cheese,
Oh, man.
chives.
I'm going to smell like garlic.
Yes, a lot of garlic.
It's going to be pleasant.
But
for
who
us
doesn't
to
love
show.
garlic, so it's
That's
okay.
true. What's this one?
This is our app sampler. So in each one of these is either a mozzarella stick, a jalapeno popper, broccoli bites, mac and cheese bites.
All right.
So-
Mac and cheese bites.
Yes.
Here's an interesting combo. You got 3 things going here.
Yes.
There's the pizza.
Yes.
And what's in here?
This is our stromboli. This one is filled with just meat and cheese. Then it's topped with our garlic knots. We have one that's veggie. It's white. So there's just all veggies in there, no sauce in this one. But
all right.
three things in one.
Because when you're ordering pizza, how many times with your family, someone's like, no, I want the
Yeah,
garlic,
yes,
no, I want
yes.
this.
Somebody
Just
wants
get it all in
something
one.
different, so, you know,
All right.
you have options.
Let's go to the big finish, and I do mean big. Do you know a pizza place that has a bigger pie than this? What? Now, let me put perspective there.
Look at your hand compared to everything.
All right. Pepperoni.
Mm-hmm. What's
And
the
then
other one?
What's this other
Plain.
Big Mama?
It's a lot of cheese.
Oh, it's just cheese pizza. Where do you?
2 pounds of cheese on each pizza, at least.
2 pounds?
Are these boxes custom made for your place?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
And
And
how
we
many
have to
people can
actually
it
get
feed?
bigger boxes because we're moving to 36-inch pizzas soon.
Bigger than this?
Yes.
This is 30?
That's 28. This is 30.
30.
Yes.
And we're actually going 36.
Yeah, 36 soon. Just getting a bigger window.
What about 40?
But
50.
no, why would you go bigger when you have your shirts? They say something
Right.
else. But
Well, it
anyway.
does. Size does matter, you know?
So what is the slogan you say you have for the slices? Because we were looking at the individual slices.
The slice isn't bigger than your head, it's free. But we haven't given out a free slice yet.
So nobody's had a head so big where the
No.
slice
Not yet.
isn't.
Well,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Mike always says he thinks I have the biggest head ever.
Well,
and you say it all the time that I have a big head. Do you not?
It's not proportionate to your body.
Anyway, he says I have a big head. So can we finally test it?
Let's go.
Would you say if my head is bigger than one of these slices, then I have a big head?
Absolutely, you get a free
of
slice.
course.
Because nobody's had a head bigger than
Nobody's had a
All
head
right.
bigger.
So Mike, let's settle this once and for all.
All right, big head.
Now
Are you
try
ready?
to grab the
Hold it up.
smallest slice.
All right, here we go.
I'd
Not
say
bigger.
It's not bigger.
Don't qualify.
So now, Mike, you can no longer say that I have a big head. How's that?
you are cheesy.
Okay. Good one. Good one.
If I just bought it by the slice, how much would that cost me?
With the topping is $4.50.
$4.50.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say $450. No.
It's worth $450.
Thank you guys so much.
That's great.
No
Port
problem. My
Richmond.
pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
Moju's Pizza.
I can't be the only person whose jaw dropped when they mentioned the size of that pizza. And that they're thinking about going to 36-inch pizza. I assume that's the diameter. Or that there's 2 pounds of cheese on that sucker. That's crazy. Mike having some fun there with Alex, including bopping her on the head with the oversized, custom-sized pizza box. Looking outside right now, we had got the downpour we were kind of expecting from looking at radar. Looks like it's almost letting up a little bit now. Let's get you a look at both radar and the camera there. Let's try it this way. There you see on Ultimate Doppler. Getting a little bit of rainstorm action over the city at the moment. That'll be crossing the Delaware River and into New Jersey momentarily, so keep an eye out for that. Looks like we are also seeing some airport delays at the moment, up to 29 minutes in Philadelphia. But what you also see on that graphic is the line of storms that's starting to form out in western Pennsylvania, out by Pittsburgh, that looks to be coming our way later today. Here's our future cast, give you an idea of what we're looking at. Might actually be seeing our meteorologist building this on the fly right here, so we're getting a sneak peek behind the action. But again, here's your ultimate Doppler. See the radar sweep pass over that. And here's the rain that's fallen outside our studios at 4th and Market. Check in, looks like the temperature is still 68, dew point is 46, and winds out of the south at 11 miles per hour at last report. See those bubbles over on the left? Those are some storm reports. Here's the potential for storm rotation later today. I think they're building this loop here for use on our website or Facebook. And don't forget to download our weather app to get the latest conditions where you are, follow you and send you follow your location and send you notifications for severe weather based on where you are. Another look at our severe weather threat today and the daily planner. Those chances of storms will run from about 4 till 9. Let's get you a quick look at conditions around the region. We'll play out our weather cameras so you can see all the different locations right now. Actually, let me fix something real quick and then we'll get you out to that. Here we go. Sun is still shining in Allentown, as you can see. These storms are really hit and miss right now. They got some of the rain earlier this morning, and now it's calmer there. This is Cape May, New Jersey. See preparations well underway for the unofficial start of summer, Memorial Day weekend coming up. We have some people on the beach there. Looks like they might be a little cold. I think they've got some sweatshirts on and bundled up, but that's Ocean City, New Jersey. See one of the boardwalk pavilions in the foreground and a light post. And now we're out to Reading, Pennsylvania, where the sun is shining. just noticed, I think there's been a credit popping up there that we don't necessarily need on some of these videos. All right, let's show you. We are going to take you live to the, that's not Allentown, Pennsylvania. That is Washington, D.C., where House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be stepping up to the microphone in a little while. She is expected to deliver her weekly news conference. I'm sure she'll have a lot to say, judging by the meeting that she had yesterday with President Trump and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. The President, of course, had an immediate reaction as he went into the Rose Garden to deliver his reaction to that presser. So that meeting that was supposed to be about infrastructure. So we'll get you out to that as soon as that happens. In the meantime, I mentioned earlier that we did have we were expecting to get a report from Steve Keeley on what was our top story this morning. Let's show you that. Philadelphia police are searching for at least 2 men who robbed a couple at gunpoint in Center City this morning. This happened early this morning. They also took their car, but not for long. Here is Steve's report on what happened.
Relief and hugs as neighbors wrap their arms for support around this 72-year-old Center City lawyer and his 59-year-old wife after they were brought back home by a Philadelphia police detective. It was just 2 hours since this couple was loading luggage into their white SUV as it was running here on Kamak Street, getting ready to leave for the airport to go to their daughter's graduation ceremony at a university in North Carolina, when 2 armed men, and maybe a third acting as a lookout, forced them back into their house and robbed them of all their cash, jewelry, and valuables, including their wallets. They tried to steal the SUV, but it stopped and stalled because it didn't have the key fob in it. And a detective says the robbers had no choice but to get out and run. Police let them take out their luggage, but made sure they didn't touch anything. Not the door handles, where they put paper towels on the handles to keep the fingerprints intact, not the steering wheel or anything else. It was eventually towed away to a police impound. The couple, now without IDs necessary for travel, were hoping to somehow get some way to get through airport security and booked on another flight to still see their daughter graduate tomorrow, as they hope Philly police get fingerprints and surveillance from many of their neighbors' cameras and hopefully get a clear shot of the armed robbers. One thing their daughter for sure will get tomorrow besides her diploma: 2 safe and alive parents who police say did everything right when facing a gun and armed robbers, give up their cash and possessions, and not get hurt or killed by resisting. As those who live in this historic Center City neighborhood, where houses were built way back in 1825 and sell now for up to $1 million, learn that even on the nicest blocks in the nicest areas of Philly, they're not immune to some very unnice violent crime. In Center City, Steve Keeley, Fox 29 News.
Thank you to Steve for that report. And we also have one from our Sabina Kriakos. Students at one school in Berlin, New Jersey are definitely getting their dance on this morning. And it's all in the name of a great cause. Our Sabina was standing by with all the details this morning.
We're here at Our Lady of Mount Carmel School, where they're having a dance-a-thon, dancing for 2 straight hours to fundraise for their school. Cannot think of a more fun way to dance. We've got everybody from 3-year-olds to 14-year-olds getting down on the dance floor. We've got Principal Alice here, and Alice, you were an alum here, and then you came back to teach and be a principal.
Yep, I am a proud graduate of the class of 1978. I've been teaching here for 33 years. I was the band director initially, and I've been principal of the school for 5 years now.
That's really cool. I think that speaks to the sense of community that you guys have here. Tell me about this dance-a-thon. What are we doing here?
We are having our Dance for Education. It's our 2nd annual Dance for Education. All of the students were asked to bring in donations and ask friends and family to mail donations. It's one of our big annual fundraisers, and it culminates in our big dance party here.
It looks so much fun. And Melissa, the kids, they don't get tired.
They do not get tired. They put us to shame with our energy. Right after this, we go right into our fun and fitness day where we have inflatables and they keep their energy all day long.
They have so much energy. That's insane.
Yes.
You guys even hired a DJ. That's so cool.
We did. I am not great with music, so we had to bring in a professional. But it's a great day and a great morning.
I think he's playing all the hits because the kids are just loving every song he puts on.
Yes, he is. He plays all the hits. Our gym teacher goes through certain songs with them, and then the kids also request what they want to hear.
And we also have kids who've been practicing. And Juliana, you were practicing since last night?
Yeah.
Maybe longer? Tell me why you wanted to perform so well. You got your dancing shoes on?
Yeah, I wanted to perform so well so I don't like mess up and stuff. And it was, now that I did it, it's very like fun.
Yeah.
I love like dancing and like stuff like that. So this was very fun, and we did this since last year. So in the afternoon we're gonna do our fun thing. So it's going to be very fun.
It's going to be an awesome day. What a way to help out your school, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. So what's your favorite dance? You got to tell me. You did a lot already this morning.
True. My favorite dance is probably, I like dancing to like either Despacito and like Old Town Road.
Do you like Baby Shark?
Yeah, it's like everyone knows it.
Yeah. When it came on, everybody was dancing. All right, well, thanks, Juliana. All right, so $15,000 they've already raised for their school, and they're going to keep dancing for 2 hours. Back to you.
Thank you to Sabina Kriakos for that report. There was some solid flossing going on there. Some good stuff all around, and raising money for a good cause as well. Let's keep, looks like there are some severe thunderstorm watches now popping up in the northern parts of Pennsylvania. We've been following the storms here. We have two events that will be getting underway shortly. It looks like this one is starting soon. This is the Noaa 2019 Hurricane Outlook in Washington, D.C. Let's listen in as this gets underway, and then we'll take you to Nancy Pelosi as soon as that gets started.
Dr. Jacobs, I welcome you to the podium.
At this time, it's a distinct honor and pleasure to introduce the Secretary of Commerce, Mr. Wilbur Ross.
You can see how efficient Noaa is with their introductions and the rest of their activities. Thank you, Neil, for those words. And especially thank you for your leadership of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Welcome, everyone. And thank you for joining us today for NOAA's annual outlook on the 2019 hurricane season. The United States is fortunate to have such dedicated experts at NOAA's forecasting offices and at the National Hurricane Center, including the pilots and staff who fly the G4 Hurricane Hunter aircraft that you see here. NOAA's Hurricane Hunter aircraft were aloft for 580 hours last year. While they were on the ground, I've had the privilege of meeting many of these men and women. They are consummate professionals. They generate heaps of data used to determine a storm's intensity and direction. It's not just the center of a barometric low that is measured and analyzed, but the air for thousands of miles on all sides of it, including the sheer above and the seas below. Our NOAA professionals work tirelessly to issue alerts to the public and emergency officials about the potential for hazardous weather. In fact, they work even harder during the off-season, preparing new products they will use the following season. They learn from every storm and apply that knowledge to future forecasts. I'm proud to note that their predictions are far more accurate than they have been in the past. Noaa has invested heavily in technology and in personnel. It has more powerful supercomputers, better software and algorithms, and more precise observational systems such as the microwave sounder. It has state-of-the-art GOES and polar orbiting satellites, and it has the trained people needed to operate these systems and interpret the hundreds of terabytes of data it generates every day. Noaa has improved the forecasting of hurricane tracks by 30% over the past decade. It has improved the lead time of its forecast by 3 days, meaning its 5-day in advance forecast now has the same accuracy as its former 2-day forecast. And its 7-day track now is what its 4-day track used to be. That's really important because advance warning saves lives and gives people a better chance to protect property. The system is even getting better. Starting in June, it will transition to a forecasting model with a new dynamic core, with the marvelous name of the finite volume on a cube sphere, or they call it FV3. It will be the first upgrade to the dynamic core of its global model since 1982. It will vastly improve the current version, which, if you can imagine, was originally written on the archaic punch code. For these successes, we owe everyone at Noaa a debt of gratitude. As a Florida resident, I'm acutely aware of the tremendous impact that hurricanes can have on lives, properties, and businesses. We just had an extremely busy hurricane season. As you may remember, at one point last year, 4 named storms were active simultaneously. Like Hamlet's slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, the storms that impacted the U.S. in 2018 caused $50 billion in damages. And we retired 2 notorious names, Michael and Florence. Bottom line with the 2019 outlook is really about being prepared as much as it is about the number of storms. With many strong tropical storms, especially those that persist and stall, the greatest destruction occurs beyond the coast. The impact of long-duration deluge is severe and life-threatening. We urge everyone who can be impacted by deep tropical depressions to stay informed and be ready to heed the warnings of Noaa and your emergency management community. Commerce Department stands ready to serve the nation before, during, and after any storm. So again, thank you for being here, and congratulations to Noaa for all of your worthy activities.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for joining us today and for your continued support of Noaa. The primary goal of today's Outlook is to encourage the public to take steps to prepare before the hurricane season, which begins on June 1st. Preparing means reviewing and creating your emergency evacuation plans and gathering your supplies now in case your area is hit by a hurricane. We will hear more about preparedness from FEMA shortly. Before I announce the 2019 hurricane season outlook, I would like to discuss how Noaa is prepared to keep the public informed and safe this season. At NOAA, we strive to deliver timely and accurate forecasts supported by sophisticated weather models, which are fed incredible amounts of data from sources such as NOAA satellites, as well as dropsondes deployed from the Gulfstream 4 you see behind me. The King Air turboprop, which is over here, is vital to NOAA's post-hurricane response assistance. It's used to conduct low-altitude aerial surveys of coastline damage, helpful to emergency managers and homeowners who have evacuated. NOAA vessels and rapid response teams deploy after storms pass to survey waterways to ensure they are free of debris and safe for shipping. NOAA operates a fleet of Earth-observing satellites, including stationary GOES east and west, and advanced polar orbiting satellites, which provide vital microwave sounder data that drive our forecast models used to predict hurricane track and intensity. This season, the National Weather Service will upgrade the dynamic core to the GFS, known as the American model. This will mark the first revolutionary upgrade to the dynamic core in decades and represent the first step in re-engineering NOAA's global forecast system to provide the best possible science-based predictions to the nation. And of course, there are NOAA's hurricane hunters. These planes collect data from above, around, and inside tropical systems. This season, the plane will collect higher resolution data from an upgraded onboard radar system. These enhanced observations will be transmitted to forecasters across NOAA and into our computer models, providing essential input to improve track and intensity forecasts. Collectively, NOAA's suite of sophisticated technologies and services enable decision makers and the public to take action before, during, and after hurricanes, increasing community resilience and helping build a more weather-ready nation. Now, on to the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season outlook. This includes all activity in the Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, and Caribbean from June 1st to November 30th. Atmospheric and ocean conditions that factored into this outlook include competing signals. On one hand, the ongoing El Nino is expected to persist and suppress activity in the Atlantic hurricane season. On the other hand, a combination of warmer than average sea surface temperatures in the tropical Atlantic and Caribbean, combined with an enhanced West African monsoon, favor increased activity. Overall, the Atlantic hurricane season outlook calls for a near normal season with a 70% chance of 9 to 15 named storms with top winds at least 39 miles an hour. Of those, 4 to 8 will become hurricanes with top winds of at least 74 miles an hour, and 2 to 4 major hurricanes reaching Category 3, 4, or 5. This outlook is made possible by the work of Dr. Jerry Bell, lead seasonal hurricane forecaster at NOAA's Climate Prediction System. His team.
All right, we quickly got the forecast outlook there, and now I see House Speaker Nancy Pelosi stepping to the microphone in Washington, D.C. for her weekly news conference. Let's listen into what she has to say after that meeting at the White House yesterday.
Such a beautiful time for us to remember, respect, and honor. We honor the service and sacrifice of our heroes in uniform and reaffirm our sacred duty to never forget those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The service of our veterans reminds us of our mission to build a future worthy of their sacrifice. And we do so honoring the oath we take to support and defend the Constitution and to protect the American people. Honoring that oath this week, the House passed 9 bills to support veterans, protecting their health benefits, financial security, and taking action to end the crisis of veteran suicide. This week, we're also passing an urgently needed fix for military families facing tax hikes under the GOP tax scam. With the kiddie tax, Republicans took $500 million from working and middle-class families and gave it to big corporations and the wealthy. $500 million, the kiddie tax. It is unacceptable that surviving children of our fallen heroes who have suffered so much are now forced to pay thousands of additional dollars in taxes on their benefits. They cannot be forced to sacrifice twice. As Democrats take action to protect military families, we also are hard at work to protect our workers, in stark contrast to the Republican special interest agenda. Today, in the same legislation that contains the Kiddie Tax Act, that's to fix what the Republicans did in their tax scam, we're passing the Secure Act. We're passing strong measures to help workers have a secure retirement. And yesterday, Congresswoman Waters' Consumer First Act, reversing the administration's destruction of the Consumer Bureau, which the Consumer Bureau returned nearly $12 billion to 30 million seniors, service members, and veterans before being gutted by the Trump administration. Also, to honor our oath, we're hoping to have a disaster supplemental bill passed before we leave for the district board field. That was our hope. That's what we've been working on for wee small hours of the night last night. However, we have sent legislation, bipartisan legislation passed in the House to the Senate. It would be helpful for those in the disaster-stricken areas if the Senate would just pass the bills and send it on to the President. We passed a bill a while back, months ago, and then in light of other disasters that occurred in the spring, we then, May 10th, passed another bill that expanded the areas that were affected. That's sitting over at the Senate. They could well just pass it and send it to the President. That would send such a beautiful message to those areas that are affected and continue to be affected. You see what's happening in Missouri as we gather here. What the problem is that the Trump administration has put in conditions for border funding that are just totally unacceptable, really don't have anything to do with what we're trying to do for disaster assistance, and we have not been able to find common ground. We understand our responsibility to protect our border, but what they're doing is just not right. And it's important to note that in the 10 years before this, not a single child died in custody of the border. Now 6 children have died in the last several months. 6 children have died in the last several months. Further honoring our oath means honoring our constitutional responsibility to conduct oversight of the President and the Trump administration. That responsibility has been resoundingly affirmed again and again, making absolutely clear that the House has a responsibility to follow the facts and cover the truth for the American people. Yesterday's Deutsche Bank ruling concluded, and I quote, "Put simply, the power of Congress to conduct investigations is inherent in the legislative process." And in the Mazars case, that would be on Monday, the judge declared, "There can be little doubt that Congress' interest in the accuracy of the President's financial disclosures falls within the legislative sphere. But the President's priority is his personal and political interest, not the public interest." Yesterday, as you know, Democrats went to the White House prepared to offer the President the opportunity to launch an historic infrastructure initiative. We had met 3 weeks before. The idea that it was a good, positive meeting about how we build the infrastructure of our country, roads, bridges, mass transit, broadband in rural areas and in underserved urban areas as well, water systems, both wastewater and safe, clean drinking water, infrastructure for our satellites so that our technology works here. For all of these things, we were optimistic. We also were hoping for housing and school construction as a further part of the conversation. But the question is, how is it paid for? And the President was going to, the plan was, as we agreed at the meeting 3 weeks ago, the President was to present his proposals at yesterday's meeting. Well, everyone started sending signals that he might not be ready or interested. The night before, he sent us a letter to Chuck Schumer and to me saying that he doesn't want to do infrastructure until we do the U.S., Mexico, Canada. If that's not the accurate, some people call it AFTA, NAFTA, some call it NAFTA 2.0, but anyway, that trade agreement, and that was a strange juxtaposition, but nonetheless, the next day, you know what happened. I think what happened, he says it's because of cover-up, and I know that that strikes a chord with him, and he's afraid of cover-up, but afraid of being accused of cover-up. But I really think that what He knew the one court decision was getting into territory that he did not want touched, and they did not allow the Mueller investigation to go into the president's personal finances. So Mazur was a setback for him, and then must have known the Deutsche Bank decision would be consistent, but in any event, to inoculate against its presentation, he pulled a stunt. Now, I truly believe that the president has a bag of tricks, and the White House has a bag of tricks that they save for certain occasions. They don't necessarily apply to the occasion, but they're a distraction, which is his master of distraction. We will all agree on that. That's something he does well, to distract from problems that he has. He tries to change the subject. And while he tried to say it's because I said cover-up, we've been saying cover-up for a while. And our 9 o'clock meeting was a meeting we have anyway, so it had nothing to do with him. But I think what really got to him was these court cases and the fact that the House Democratic Caucus is not on a path to impeachment. And that's where he wants us to be. And when he saw that that was not happening, that, again, with the cover-up, which he understands is true, just struck the chord. So it was really sad because, as I said to some of you yesterday, Thomas Jefferson, one of our third president, had the first infrastructure initiative. He tasked Gallatin, who was his Secretary of the Treasury, and I said that to the Secretary of the Treasury yesterday after the president left the room, that he tasked his Secretary of the Treasury to put together a big infrastructure plan to follow the Lewis and Clark expedition, the Louisiana Purchase, to build into the infrastructure of America, Cumberland Road, Erie Canal, things like that. That's so important to our country in terms of commerce and mobility and the rest. And then 100 years later, Teddy Roosevelt, he initiated his infrastructure plan, which was green, the establishment of the National Park Service. Later in the century, President Eisenhower put forth the interstate highway proposal. It was very bipartisan. The leader in the Senate was Lyndon Johnson, in the House Sam Rayburn, and the President of the United States, a Republican President Eisenhower, working together to pass that for the good of the country. And its purpose under President Eisenhower was that it would unify America. It was a defense issue. So what we're talking about now, infrastructure, the president says I word. I thought he was talking about infrastructure, roads, bridges, mass transit. I said some of these things already. And I thought we could give him the opportunity to make a historic contribution to the safety, because it's a safety measure. It's about commerce, it's about safety, it's about mobility, product to market and the rest. It's about clean air, clean water. It's about a better future for our country, much needed, trillions of dollars in deficit in terms of low or no maintenance that we haven't afforded. It's never been partisan. We don't want it to be partisan now. But I can only think that he wasn't up to the task of figuring out the difficult choices of how to cover the cost of what the important infrastructure legislation that we had talked about 3 weeks before. But the president, again, stormed out. And I think, first, pound the table, walk out the door. Okay? Next time, have the TV cameras in there while I have my say. That didn't work for him either. And now this time, another temper tantrum. Again, I pray for the President of the United States. I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention for the good of the country. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Speaker, would you be prepared to change your rhetoric, given the political landscape, your understanding of the President's temperament? Your prayer comments almost suggest you're concerned about his well-being.
I am. And the well-being of the United States of America.
Would you be prepared to do something differently for the pragmatism of getting more done, to not use phrases like cover-up or to not perhaps provoke him? Would you be open to that?
Well, you have bought into his excuse.
No,
that was not a reason that he did that yesterday. that was an excuse for him to do that. And with all due respect to your question, I do not intend not to honor my oath of office, nor do my colleagues in the House of Representatives, to honor our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution, which has a system of checks and balances, a separation of power in it. And again, it's a question of the American people understanding that what he is doing is an assault on the Constitution of the United States. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I hope we can too.
Speaker Pelosi, yesterday you said that the president may have engaged in impeachable offenses.
Yeah.
Yet today you're saying you're not on a path to impeachment. Can you explain why you are opposed to launching an impeachment inquiry, as many of your members want to do?
Let me be really very clear. The president's behavior in terms of his obstruction of justice, the things that he is doing, is very clear. It's in plain sight. It cannot be denied. Ignoring subpoenas, obstruction of justice. Yes, these could be impeachable offenses, but I intend not. The three things. You might understand it better if you remember these three things. We want to follow the facts, to get the truth to the American people, with a recognition, too, that no one is above the law, and three, that the president is engaged in a cover-up. And that is what my statement is. How we deal with it is a decision that our caucus makes. And our caucus is very much saying whatever we do, we need to be ready when we do it. And I do think that impeachment is a very divisive place to go in our country. And what we can get the facts to the American people through our investigation, it may take us to a place that is unavoidable in terms of impeachment, or not. But we're not at that place.
Do you believe he committed a crime? Do you believe he committed a crime?
Yes.
Would you take another meeting with the president after what happened? And can you work with him on anything?
Of course. I mean, we're dealing with a situation that is becoming more predictable. But I do think that we have a responsibility to try to find common ground. It's funny you asked that question, Casey, because yesterday I was going to start the meeting in terms of course, putting a historic perspective as I have done here, but also to say we're very busy people, the leaders in the Congress, especially the President of the United States, I think. And a meeting between the leaders of the Congress and the President is an historic meeting. This is not a casual coming together of Democrats and Republicans. This is a historic meeting. It's the leadership of the legislative branch, the first branch of government, and the President of the United States. So let's make it count for something. Let's really make it count for something. By dint of preparation, by dint of respect for each other's views, understanding that we'll have to yield on points to get results for the American people. But he obviously was not prepared by dint of preparation. He was not prepared until he used some excuse to go out the door. I do not take responsibility for his irresponsible behavior because we are pointing out the truth to the American people.
Leader Pelosi, you have a lot of issues.
Given the gravity of the meeting, Kellyanne Conway made a remark to you at the end of the meeting. She's apparently expanded on her remarks.
I'm not going to talk about that. I responded as the Speaker of the House to the President of the United States. Other conversations people want to have among themselves is up to them. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, obviously, you guys have a lot of major legislative issues that you need to address this summer. The Treasury Secretary here is talking about raising the debt ceiling, the import of that. They're going to need Democratic votes, to add the other question. How do you go back and re-engineer this? You might not get infrastructure, but you've got to keep the government open, and you have to raise the debt ceiling, and they're going to have Democratic votes, and the president is going to have that.
Why don't you go ask that question of the President of the United States? We have always been responsible. Left to their own devices, our appropriators can always, I'm an appropriator, I forge in that culture, intelligence and appropriations. And in those days, they were not really partisan arenas. So frankly, on disaster assistance, we could have gotten there left to their own devices of the appropriators until the White House intervened. So we will have to pass the appropriations bills, and we will, and hopefully we will do them in a very timely fashion. The debt ceiling will have to be lifted, and that's a matter of this conversation that we're having on the debt ceiling. We're not saying, as the President said, if you don't if you don't stop investigating me, if you don't stop honoring your oath of office, I can't work with you. That's basically what he's saying. Maybe he wants to take a leave of absence. I don't know. But on the other hand, we understand what our responsibilities are. We're fully prepared to go forward. It really will be up to them to have some
Do you
level
think
of
this puts you in a better position to ask for more, though, because of the blow-up yesterday?
But we want to do what we have to do that is right for the American people, respectful of all the equities that have to be weighed.
You said in private, you suggested it today, that the president wants to, on some level, to be impeached. Can you explain that a bit? And can you also explain the comment you made about the staff doing an intervention?
Okay, the what intervention?
You made a comment that you thought the staff might want to do.
Oh, I thought you said statutory intervention. That would be good. Article 25. Troublemaker. That's a good idea. I'm glad you suggested it. I'll take it up with my colleagues. Not that they haven't been thinking about it. But your support will be important to them. What was the oh, yes. Oh, there's no question. The White House is just crying out for impeachment. That's why he flipped yesterday, because he was hoping, because he was, somehow or other, you all have a story that isn't real. I mean, you want to believe that there's all this unease in our caucus. That simply isn't the truth. We have respect for the diversity of opinion in our caucus. And I say to the caucus, our diversity is our strength. Our unity is our power. And we have unity in our caucus. And so when he saw that, see, he's saying, oh, you called that meeting at 9 o'clock? No, we have a meeting, Mr. President. It's not about you, but it is about whatever is current at that time. And so somehow or other, you keep perpetuating this story. I don't know why, because it isn't factual, but nonetheless, that was what disappointed him, because he didn't see this rush to impeachment coming out of our caucus in our 9 o'clock meeting, which he thought was called specifically for him. And then that's up to his family and his cabinet and his staff in the White House. This is not behavior that rises to the dignity of the office of President of the United States. But having said that, as I said, I actually ardently pray for the president, because we need, I don't know, sometimes when we're talking to him, he agrees. And then I said one time, who's in charge here? Because you agree, and then all of a sudden something changes. What goes on there? Who's in charge? And he says he's in charge, and I suspect that he may be. And I suspect he may be even more since yesterday, because I don't think that any responsible assistant to the President of the United States would have advised him to do what he did yesterday.
Madam Speaker, do you regret your comments? Do you regret?
Let's see the other side, Paula. I watch every game.
You prefer Toronto or Milwaukee?
Well, I would not like to play against if we were free.
Thank you.
You've been watching House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's press conference, weekly gathering with the media, as she discusses the meeting she had yesterday with President Trump, where he was obviously displeased at the end, during the meeting, and then spoke about it afterward, including this House Speaker's mentioned that she believes he's covering up. You're looking live at Ultimate Doppler Radar. We've been talking about this throughout the morning, that there are storms on the way, and some occurring right now. We had some rain move through Philadelphia. You see that's moved into Jersey. Still some rain in Chester County that looks to be headed into Delaware, and some down in South Jersey already. Get you a little loop here of the weather before we go. I can tell you that it looks like airport delays are increasing at Philadelphia International Airport. Here's a look at the severe weather threat that we've been mentioning. Concerns are damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes. Your planner for today. Again, the storms between 4 and a little bit later, and another round perhaps at 10. You can see the storms building there and moving across from western Pennsylvania to our area. Chance of some storm rotation as we move through the evening. There's your Fox Futurecast. So thank you again for joining us on Fox 29 News Now. We're with you weekdays at 10 a.m. after Good Day Philadelphia. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day.